Hey, how are you? Tom here. We just finished our interview with Silvana Estrada. The thing that's sticking out for me is, so I'll show you something. For the longest time, as long as I remember, I rip up little pieces of paper while I'm talking to people. I guess it's an anxiety or a bit of a nervous thing, right? Like here are the little bits. And halfway through the interview, I was talking to Silvana, and I've never met anyone else who does it. And I look over at her, and she has her tea bag, or the kind of the label of the tea bag. She's ripping it up, and we have this moment where I go like, "Oh my God, we both do the same thing at the same time." So in a conversation that is about processing, we kind of. So if you are watching this, we kind of connected over. If you're watching this and you're a fellow paper ripper, let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoy this conversation with Silvana Estrada.
Vámonos dejando a un lado que donde no crecen flores ya no hay campo.
How are you doing? Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. We were talking about that. I'm in the middle of a tour, so
You're a little sleepy.
yeah.
You're a little
Sleepy and happy.
We were also talking about music because I was telling you about how I played requinto, which is the Mexican folk instrument when I was in high school, poorly for 1 year.
Yeah.
And you told me you made an instrument when you were young?
Yeah, when I was 12, I made my own jarana.
Mm-hmm.
I did un mosquito, which is mosquito, but it's the smallest little guitar of the family of the jaranas. It's crazy. You said that you played a Mexican traditional instrument. It is, but it's specifically from Veracruz,
where you're from,
where I'm from. So it's super, it's crazy that you get to play it at requinto.
Yeah, there was a guy who came to my high school. His name was Leonardo, and he came to my high school, and he wanted to start, and we were all playing him like bluegrass and Irish music. So he said, they must know their way around these instruments a little bit, and he brought with him from the Veracruz, he brought with him the instruments. There was one sort of a lower, bassy sounding one.
Oh, that's my favorite, La Leona.
Yeah.
Which is the big one that does a little bit like the bass lines of the son jarocho, right?
My buddy Daniel played that, and he was from and I played requinto very, very briefly.
I love that.
Yeah, no problem.
I love that. And it's super interesting because in every kind of folkloric music you have like a very similar instrument like the requinto, the one that it's gonna do the kind of the contramelodia. It's a little bit baroque.
Because I could play mandolin, so that's why I think they handed me that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very similar.
And I guess you made your instrument because your parents were luthiers.
Yeah.
Both of them?
Both of them. Yeah.
What kind of instruments did they make?
Cuerda frotada, no? Which are the instruments from the orchestra, no? My mom, she does violas and violins, and my dad, he builds double basses and cellos. And yeah, they have their atelier is like shared. It's like a Estrada Beberido, like me.
Yeah. And
yeah, they have been building their instruments for like 30 years now. They at the very beginning of their lives, they were classical musicians. They were even like playing at orchestras and everything. My dad is double bass player, and my mom, she's a clarinet player. And at some point, they were just tired of the orchestral world, or I don't know, and they moved to Italy, and they went to Cremona, which is where Stradivarius was born. And yeah, they spent there 10 years studying lutheria
together. So they weren't existing luthiers who met one another afterwards. They were musicians who both decided to become luthiers.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think it was first my dad. He was already playing the double bass, and he was tired of there were like no luthiers to repair his double bass, and he was dealing with. I come from a very humid place, very, very, very humid place.
So a lot of cracks.
A lot of cracks. Every time he was traveling, his instrument was cracking, and he was like, you know what, I'm gonna learn how to do this. And my mom was like, yeah, let's do it. I don't know, crazy things and they were already married, so they were like super como que close to each other. Things that I guess if that happens these days, like you just kind of separate.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that as a kid, then you would have had your pick of any instrument you wanted to play when you were a kid. You probably had a lot of them around, and
Yeah.
you probably could have just picked them up.
Yeah. My parents, they tried very, very, very hard to like make me a classical musician.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I when I was like 5 or 6, my mom used to like wake me up like 2 hours before or 3 hours before going to school, like very, very early in the morning to study piano and violin. And you know, if you do that to a kid, I'm pretty sure the kid's not going to be a classical musician.
If you wake them up in the morning to practice piano, that's the worst thing you can do to make them.
Exactly. So I remember, and they were worried about my fingers. So whenever I could, I started to. I become part of the volleyball team, like hurting my fingers all the time, just like you know, and
don't hurt your hands. You
exactly,
know?
Don't hurt your hands, and yeah, I was like not really into like violin, and violin is such a hard instrument. Like you need to be very like centered because you spend like 5 years just making
awful noise,
awful sounds.
So when the quattro comes your way, does that happen at the same time the songwriting does? Is it that you pick up the quattro and you go, oh, now I can write music?
Yeah.
Or?
I was, okay, so when I was 13, I started to study jazz at the university. There was like this como preparation for the actual college.
Yeah, like these
years.
pre-courses you can
Pre-courses,
take.
yeah. And I was studying jazz, like singing and again playing a little bit the piano and trumpet. And I was like, I was really in love with jazz and improvisation mostly. But then I was like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to, sing like these songs from the 30s and the 40s. It's funny that you told me that my music reminded you to like that harmonies.
Yeah, they go the chord progressions and the
chord
harmonies.
Progressions.
They sort of have that old 20s and 30s style of songs.
Yeah, like very functional, no? Like super functional harmony. Yeah. Well, at that age, I was studying exactly that, those progressions. And I was like, I love this, but I'm not sure if I want to sing in English for the rest of my life. And if I want to sing this like Cole Porter songs that I love them, but, I'm from Veracruz. I'm from like, a very culturally rich place. And I wanted to talk about what was going on in my life, no? And I tried for years, actually. I tried to do my own songs, and I always was writing poems and trying to take those poems into the piano and try some like melodies, and never worked it. I don't know why. Like maybe because I was learning all these things at school in the piano, that my fingers already had like this kind of learned como que forms, no? Like
you sort of, there are when you play piano, there are sort of like patterns you fall
exactly.
into. Yeah.
It's easy to repeat things that you already know.
Yeah.
So I remember I was like, 15 maybe or 16, and I took the quattro for the first time. And I never thought about the quattro, really. Like the quattro venezolano was like that instrument my mom and my dad used to play at the parties when they were a little bit drunk and everybody was singing Venezuelan songs. So I never had any like sort of like special feeling for the instrument. And I remember that holidays I was like, okay, I'm gonna try the jarana. And then the jarana was super loud, no?
Mm-hmm.
The requinto, all those instruments are like super bright. And I was like, I'm not sure. And then I took the guitar, and I have super small hands, and my dad has like this huge flamenco guitar, no?
Yeah.
And
so you couldn't stretch, you couldn't get the hands.
It was just painful.
Yeah.
I just remember I spent like a week, and I was like, this is the most painful thing I've ever done in my life. And then I took the quattro one day, and it was instant love. I fell in love for real. I stopped eating. I stopped sleeping. I was like, I was spending hours and hours and hours and days and months just like playing the quattro, completely excited of
Writing songs too? And
writing songs
yeah.
very easily.
Yeah.
I feel like the quattro chose me in a way that being like so ignorant of like how the quattro works, the tuning of the quattro. I was a baby in a quattro's world, you know? That gave me so much freedom, like gave me the space to actually communicate through poetry, which was something I was trying for years. And then the quattro came up and I was finally able to like write songs and say the things that I wanted to say, tell my stories. And I remember those days and it was just amazing. Like I remember putting like a couple of fingers on the quattro and like, wow, what is this? What is this chord? And now I know it was like a G minor or whatever, you know?
Nothing too serious. Yeah.
Nothing too serious. But I remember those days, it was all like, it was all new and everything was excited. And that's how Marchita was born, actually.
I'm just so sorry for your mom who watched all that happen and said she's never going to be a classical piano player.
No, and you know what's crazy? My quattro, it's actually made by them. My dad and my mom, they built my quattros. I have
really?
quattros and are made at my parents' studio, atelier. And I remember the day they decided to do a quattro for me. They were like, You're gonna do this for real, no? And I was like already traveling and like touring. I was like,
they gave up on the dream that you were going to be like you were going to be a great piano. Yeah, they were like, fine,
we'll make you
a quattro. Well, it worked out because I want to play a little bit of this happening.
Y el Latin Grammy es para. Es un empate. Ángela Álvarez y Silvana Estrada.
So that is my guest Silvana Estrada winning Best New Artist in a tie with Angela Alvarez at the Latin Grammys. What goes through your mind when you heard that?
I am just so excited and grateful, and I remember Angela Alvarez.
She's an older artist.
She won at 95.
95.
And I was 25. And we were all winning for Best New Artist.
Did you talk about it afterwards? Did you have a moment backstage where you talked?
Oh my God, yes. She was amazing. Sometimes if I think about her, I start to cry. She passed last year. And she told me like Silvana, this is her time. Like life knows when things, I don't know how to translate it, but she said life knows when you're ready. Like all the things you want, life is going to give it to you.
When the time is right.
When the time is right.
And for you, it was now, and for her, it was in her 90s.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, what I can imagine it sets up for you is that you all of a sudden you go from like your parents building you a quattro to all of a sudden getting a lot of it. I mean that got a lot of attention.
Yeah.
When you won that Latin Grammy, and then just to build to this new record. When I was reading about it, it seems like from the first record, which was a little bit more melancholy, a little sadder.
Yeah.
You were originally for this new record trying to be a little funnier and like trying to be a little bit lighter. Is that right?
Yeah, it's crazy because for the first album, for Marchita, I was so young and innocent that I was really just romanticizing. Is that a word?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Romanticizing sadness and pain.
Yeah.
Because that album, it's full of solemnity.
Yep.
Is that a word also?
Yeah.
Oh, look at me.
2 for 2. Also, don't ask me. My language is not great either, but you know what? Yeah, I believe so.
Come
Yeah,
on.
okay, right.
Anyways, I was just, young and it was easy to be solemn because I was full of innocence.
Yeah, everything is new. Every heartbreak is the worst heartbreak you've ever had in your life. Yeah, I get it.
But then in order to deal with life, like, yeah, life is gonna be hard. Plot twist. Life is gonna be really, really, really hard. And in my case, I started it's crazy when I started to like work a lot and to like started to be recognized with from the other like artists, and I won the Grammy. You know, that same year I won the Grammy, I also lost my best friend. Like my best friend and his brother, they were murdered in Mexico City.
Unbelievably. Jorge,
Jorge Andres
he and his brother and his uncle
and his uncle, yeah,
were murdered in Roma, right?
In Roma,
in Mexico City.
in an old house. They were living there. It's a hell of a story. It's super intense, and
it was news in Mexico.
It was big news.
Yeah.
No, and we looked for them for like days. It was completely devastating and traumatizing. So I'm just trying to say that you cannot be solemn in front of that amount of pain, and you cannot romanticize that amount of like grief and lust. So I think this second album was me trying to reconnect with a lighter vision, a lighter view, and I guess I was just trying to fall in love again with the world. And for that, you really need to open your eyes. I think Marchita was this just travel. No, I was traveling inside me to these like really deep, dark parts. And after that happened and a bunch of other like crazy things happened, I was like, no, I really need to open my eyes.
Because you don't know what sadness is when you're 18, and when you're 18 and you get your heart broken, you think it's devastating and it's quote unquote tragic. But then when you go through something actually tragic, when your best friend is murdered, and then there's no beautiful romance around that pain. It's only pain. There's no sense. Wallowing in it and finding the romance in it is not going to help you.
No.
You have to find a way to get through it. You have to find a way to appreciate life even with that loss. Yeah.
And I think that was my process, and that's why this album took so many years for being made, and that's why I couldn't work with any producer, and that's why I decided to self-produce it, because, you know, it was so personal. It was my healing process, really. I was like grieving and healing and making an album all at once, and it was so personal, and there were no space for like any type of agenda, you know?
Yeah.
There were no space for like, oh, it's your second album and the first album did very well, so you need to
follow it up.
Exactly. I was like, no, I don't have space for that in my mind.
And that's what producers do. Producers would come in and be like, okay, let's see how we can get her as an artist. You're like, I need this to be, I understand it. Can we listen to some of it?
Yeah.
¿Cómo será de hermosa la muerte que nadie ha vuelto de allá? ¿Cómo será de frágil la suerte que siempre elegimos amar?
That is a little bit of Un Rayo de Luz from Silvana Estrada's new record, Vendrán Suaves Lluvias. It's a beautiful song.
Thank you.
It translated, how beautiful must death be when no one has returned from it? How fragile must our luck be when we always choose to love? That first line is from a poet, from...
That first line, it's actually from an interview.
Who was it?
It's Chavela Vargas.
Vargas, yeah.
Chavela Vargas, a couple months before dying, actually. She was really, really sick. And this woman asked her, like, Chavela, are you afraid of death? Are you afraid of dying? And Chavela, being Chavela, because she's like the most brilliant, brave, funny person in Mexican culture, she answered, no, I'm not afraid. That must be beautiful there if no one has ever come back. If no one has ever returned.
Yeah, it must be nice if no one's come back.
Exactly.
That struck you? That line struck you?
Oh my God, yes. Actually, I was after my best friend passed, I spent months and months and months without being able to actually open my notebook. I was not able to write anything. I was terrorized. I was so afraid. I was like, maybe I have so much pain in me that I'm not gonna be able to write again ever. Like music, she doesn't like me anymore because I'm too dark, and she needs something else. And yeah, she's like giving me her back. I felt like And a friend of mine, Jimena, she invited me to do like a residency in Chavela Vargas' house. I spent there a week, and I was not even trying to like write anything. I was just like taking the sun in the pool, like just like grieving and trying to feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
And suddenly I just see that interview one night, and next day I took the guitar and I did the song, and it was like a 15-minute process or less. And I definitely felt and still feel that Chavela Vargas is kind of my co-writer for that song. And in that house, there's definitely her ghost, like really crazy things happen.
Like what?
Like we were listening to music, and if we were, and Chavela was very, very strong about like modern music. And sometimes, in our playlists with Jimena, sometimes there's a lot of, reggaeton, for example, no? And every time like a reggaeton song will appear in the sound system of the house, shut down. No energy. For real.
She was
saying, not in my house. She was saying, please not here, girls. For real. And a lot of things like that. Like I remember one night, there was like this bright sky, and we were in the garden. It was full of stars. And the house next door, they were like having a party or something, and because of the electric light, we were not able to actually see the greatness of the sky. And my friend Jimena and I started to say like, come on, como que we cannot see anything, come on. And the next house, they lost power, so they were like no lights for their party. Suddenly silence.
She heard you.
Yeah.
She said, I'll give you a hand.
She's the
I'll
best.
help you.
Her ghost is the best. So, yeah.
That is a friendly ghost.
That's a friendly ghost.
That's a friendly ghost.
Yeah.
Sorry, Casper. So let me. But what I'm hearing there is that what she really gave you, and what you, because I think when you go through a loss when you're young, when your friend is taken from you, it both makes you experience that intense grief for the first time.
Yeah.
But it also, you have to reconcile with death yourself, right?
Yeah.
You have to reconcile with dying, and so you get How Beautiful Must Death Be When No One Has Returned From It, and you also get, I think, the album title. So the album title translates to Soft Rains Will Come, which is, I think, was inspired by the poem There Will Come Soft Rains by Sarah Teasdale.
Yeah.
Sarah Teasdale wrote that poem towards the end of World War I because of all the anxiety and violence of the destruction of what they thought might be the destruction of mankind.
Yeah.
She came to the conclusion that, well, mankind's meaning is only meaningful to humans. If everything, the poem goes on to say, if everything went away, nature would continue on. If mankind died out, birds would sing, the world would keep going without us. I have always found that a little terrifying. Like, I have not always found that comforting. When people say that to me, when we're gone, the birds are fine, and I go, I don't want everyone to be gone. I want everyone to be here. Yeah. But it sounds like you might have found some peace in that.
Well, I also don't want this to end. I really love life. I don't want to die. I'm not. Yeah.
So why? Am I right that poem?
Yeah.
Because you named the record after it. I assume,
exactly. I think what I like about that idea, it's not that, it's not promising that everything's gonna be okay. It's just promising something that you can actually promise. And I was in this moment where I was like dealing with a bunch of anxiety and sadness and depression, and I was sick of like people telling me like everything's gonna be fine.
You'll get over it. No, yeah.
You get over it, and it's true, but it's also true that I'm never gonna be the same.
Yeah.
You know, I notice it in my body, in the way I think, in my voice. My voice changed so much.
Really?
Really. Yeah, you don't notice it?
Not too much, no.
No?
No.
Well,
How did it change?
You know, now I feel like it comes from this is super like specific, but I used to sing very like here.
Throaty.
In Marchita, I'm like always throaty and
Kind of up
and
here,
nosy,
yeah, a little bit up here,
up
yeah,
here,
yeah.
And now I have this like low tones that I didn't have before, and when I go high, it just feels like this part is not much there. It's all super like in my head or in my chest.
Right. Okay, so that happens after the...
Yeah, I feel like my voice changed, and what I love about the idea of like Vendrán Suaves Lluvias, soft rains will come, is that something you can actually promise. It's like a small hope. I think we need to do something with hope, really, because it's harder and harder to have it. And maybe we should just like go for small hope, you know? Una esperanza chiquita, like something that we can actually see as a reality. And yeah, and I remember this poem being like, oh, I don't need to be happy again. Or maybe nothing's gonna be as it was, but maybe some like softness I can find, or sweetness I can try to find, and nature is gonna be there. And yeah, it's more like a very physical kind of hope, you know, the kind of hope you get when you see a tree or a kid or just water, like any form of water, body of water, like a river or sea.
The hope that comes that the world is so much bigger than me and my
Exactly.
feelings. Yeah. The world is not unfeeling, but the world is big.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of helped me a lot, and you know, that's I think that's why we're both
You're the
nervous
only other person I've ever met who does this.
I do this a lot. It's crazy.
Look down there.
Oh my God.
I know.
That's my where I have like a big desk in my home, and it's full of that.
Me too. It drives everybody out there
Yeah, we all
crazy.
yeah.
They hate you.
yeah.
I bet they hate you for it too.
Yeah, of course. In restaurants, they hate me.
I should say what we're doing, since we're on the radio, what we're doing is we're tearing up little, I've been doing it. I've never met anyone else who does it. I tear up little bits of the bottom of my piece of paper and roll them in my fingers.
Yeah.
And you've been doing it with your tea bag.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so, I've never met anyone else who does
It's
that
crazy,
before.
and I tried to not do it, but the first thing I noticed about you it was that you were doing it.
Yeah.
So I felt like able to do it. So that's why I'm doing it. So thank you.
You know what? You're welcome. Can we listen to some more music?
¿Cómo puede ser tu amor a medias? Píldora y enfermedad también. ¿Cómo puede ser tan largo el duelo de lo que nunca pudimos ser? ¿Cuál era
That is Silvana Estrada in Dime from her new record. The last thing I wanted to ask you about is Canada.
Yeah.
You recorded some of this record in Montreal. You did the strings on that with Owen Pallett, right?
Yeah, this song, Dime, it's Owen Pallett's arrangement. Also, the last one, Un Rayo de Luz, it's also Owen Pallett.
He's a brilliant musician.
He's a brilliant musician. He also appeared he played with us in the Tiny Desk. Did you see him?
Yeah.
I love him. He's the best. He's a genius. And yeah, my story with Canada, it's crazy. I was dealing, it was really hard for me to like kind of self-produce this album. I was like,
I can't stop thinking. We're both noticing that we're both doing it.
Yeah,
we're like two knitters here doing this thing. Okay. So you were going through a hard time. Okay.
I was going through a hard time, and it was it was actually the birthday of one of Andres' birthday.
One of the brothers.
One of the brothers, and I was destroyed. One of the hardest moments of my grieving. And I remember my manager, he received a call from Misha Karam, which is Laza de Cela's brother.
So Laza de Cela, for people who don't know, was this really important and excellent Canadian, also Mexican, also American singer who died very, very young, 37, 38, and was so beloved in Canadian music, and especially in Montreal.
Yeah.
And so I'll just go from there.
She's my hero. I grew up listening to her music. I loved her. I actually discovered her like on YouTube, and I became just obsessed with her. And anyways, he called my manager out of the blue, like, "Hey, I'm Laza de Cela's brother. We're doing like this tribute with all the musicians who played with Laza. Do you think, Silvana, it's interesting on like coming and singing and being part of the tribute that we're gonna do?" And my manager, who was really worried about me, because we were at this point where we were actually asking ourselves, like, am I gonna be able to finish this album or not? And then my manager was like, yeah, sure, she's coming. But do you think those musicians are interested in like working with Silvana? And Misha was like, yeah, of course. And Edwin was like, can she go to Montreal maybe and record with them?
With Laza's band?
With Laza's band. Not all of them, but
some of them.
Some of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you go to Montreal
and I went to Montreal without knowing anybody. And I spent like 3 weeks or a month maybe working with this wonderful group of musicians that kind of gave me all the, strength and happiness and joy and like security that I was missing.
Well, hold on. If you didn't know any of these musicians, you were in a country that you didn't know around, sort of all by yourself, and you were surrounded by your friends and great musicians back in Mexico. Why did working with these musicians give you that strength and joy and all that stuff you were missing?
Because they didn't know me at all.
Oh, yeah. They didn't know.
There was no expectations from them. They didn't know who I was. Like, Misha just showed them like a couple of songs, and they were like, yeah, great. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't like any expectation, and I felt free. I felt brand new into new eyes. And we spent like a week in this house in the middle of the woods next to this lake, just rehearsing. And they were so kind. They were just like trying all my ideas, and like, because, I think one of my problems down in Mexico is that the pressure was so high, even from my friends, because they were like, Silvana, you got this. Like, you are this and this and that. And they were all like giving me ideas, and I was like, stop. I need quiet. And these musicians were like just like so open to try everything, and they were so sweet. I have this thing, like, I need sweetness and softness in order to create. I don't like roughness and like people who is like, okay, we have 2 hours to record the horns and then 3 hours to do the piano and then 3-minute break to have a sandwich and then back to the studio. Like, I cannot. Now I know that I cannot work like this, and I know it's a privilege that I can actually, give myself long process.
But you found that softness and you found that sweetness in Canada.
In Canada. And I love Montreal. I really love Canada. Like, I don't know what is it. I don't know if it's I don't know what is it, but people is so sweet and like so open and so nice. And, this album, it's possible because Montreal, because the musical scene in Montreal, because of Feist, because of Owen Palette, because a bunch of because of Leonard Cohen and Johnny Mitchell, like it's high. Like the number of great musicians you have is really high. So yeah, it was just magical and the I don't know, it was like and it's crazy. Like the songs can take you to beautiful places. Really, the songs from Lhasa are so beautiful that saved me because those songs are so beautiful that I get to grow up with them and I fell in love with them. And like 20 years later, I was able to or I don't know, 10 years later, I was like recording these TikToks of me singing Lhasa song. So then Misha was like, oh, there's this girl in Mexico who loves Lhasa. Let's invite her. So he invited me. Then my manager was like, is Silvana? And then I'm in Montreal in this house in the middle of the woods, like swimming in the lake every morning, recording and rehearsing with these wonderful musicians. And half of the album, it was born here in Canada. And then I get to meet Owen, which is one of the most beautiful humans I've ever met. And he's also like one of the most talented musicians. And I don't know why, but I have a connection with Canada, I guess.
I'm glad you weren't there in the winter. I'm glad you were swimming in the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it worked out.
Yeah, but yeah.
You made such a beautiful record. I really loved listening to it. I listened to it twice today.
Thank you so much.
And I really love listening to it. And thanks so much for coming in and talking to us. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
It's been so much fun.
I'm really, really happy. Also, like, we've been having, like, 2 days ago we played in Montreal and it was a sold out. Today it's also sold out. I'm just so proud. Like, we've been working a lot.
Just a couple of paper rippers. Just a couple of paper rippers having a chat is really all it is. Yeah, that's good. Thanks for coming in, hey.
Thank you so much.